I found some very interesting information about the collision of the USS Porter and the MV Ottawazan, the oil tanker, back in 2012 that I think is going to put to bed any idea that what happened with the ACX Crystal and the USS Fitzgerald was simply an accident. Now, it took some digging, but this is the track, the AIS track of the oil tanker back in 2012. And this is the event here where it hit the Porter. Now there's some interesting information about the Ottawazan. The Ottawazan was moving at 14.1 knots. Reported 159,000 ton displacement oil tanker. The ACX Crystal is only 29,000 tons. But here is the thing that absolutely stunned me about this. You read that, folks? A 300,000 ton supertanker that reportedly had 95% of her 2 million barrels of fuel loaded. 300,000 tons moving at 14.1 knots hits an Arleigh Burke class destroyer head on at the exact same location that the Fitzgerald was hit. And it sails away. Whole bunch of damage above the waterline. They sail under their own power. Nobody injured, nobody killed, no damage below the waterline. Head for Jebel Ali, have some repairs done. Within 2 weeks, they fire the commander and put someone else in charge. 300,000 tons. That is a full 30 times the size of the Porter. Moving at 14 knots. The Crystal was only moving 18. Not that much faster. And allegedly, the story there is they were running parallel. And one either turned into the other or turned into the path of the other. That's what's being debated. It wasn't head on, because in this scenario, the Porter started up here and tried to cut down this way and got smacked on the side. So that's closer to a head-on collision. We know from the audio, they were moving 5 knots. This thing was moving 14 knots, weighed 300,000 tons, and didn't do any damage below the waterline. None. And I want you to look at this picture. I pulled it back up again, folks. This is the oil tanker. This is a 1,000-foot long ship. About right here would be where the bridge of the Crystal would be. That's how much bigger this ship is, lengthwise. But as far as total mass, 29,000 tons versus 300,000 tons, 10 times as big. Hit the same ship. That ship sailed away from it, and this one is mortally wounded. This one has punctures below the waterline. I'm sorry, but no way. Not plausible. That ship goes head on with this one, gets hit, only gets that kind of damage, and this other one does some side-on glancing blow with a ship a tenth the size and is almost sunk. No way. No way, folks. Not believing it. But just wanted to cover one final thing before we get out of today's video. The Japanese apparently understand this concept of the removal of the Fitzgerald from the theater. And they understand it very well. And this is from Business Insider. Unlike the nearly complete lack of comment from U.S. Navy sources, Japanese authorities recognize the price of losing the Fitzgerald from the defense of the Indo-Asian area. And this little paragraph here is just a list of all of the different things that the South Koreans and the Japanese and those destroyers have been doing for the last couple of years. But down here, here's some quotes that I think are really telling to why the Fitzgerald was targeted. The U.S. Navy's best ships in terms of defending Japan, maintaining stability of the situation in Asia, and the U.S. global strategy are deployed to the Yokosuka base. Yokosuka, said Yoji Koda, a former commander-in-chief of the Self-Defense Fleet. The Fitzgerald is of great value to the United States as a main force of the 7th Fleet tasked with those missions. Diplomatic analyst Yukio Okamoto said of the accident, U.S. Aegis destroyers are moving around Japan like that on a daily basis. The United States is demonstrating to surrounding countries that it is committed to defending Japan. The loss of the Fitzgerald, its advanced defensive weapon systems, and its 30 Tomahawk missiles is particularly painful at this time. Former MSDF Chief of Staff Tomohisa Takei suggested that the loss of the Fitzgerald seems to be a blow to the U.S. Navy, as it is highly possible that defenses in the South China Sea, where China is militarizing artificial islands, will become weak. Even the Japanese understand this. That this is not an accident. Clearly, this is not what they're telling us. The damage below the waterline of that ship, the damage above the waterline of that ship, are two totally different things. This channel doesn't have all of the answers about the details. But now that we know the Navy is lying, everything is on the table. Because we know they know what happened. And they're not telling us. So when those that we trust in positions of authority do this and continue to put out this idea that it was an accident, which has the implication that somehow the crew of the Fitzgerald was derelict or dilatory or didn't do their duty, that dishonors the memory of those sailors. And this channel is going to defend that. We're going to stand up every day and defend that. And we're going to throw things out, and sometimes some things work, sometimes some things don't. But we're going to get to the bottom of it one way or the other, and that's with your help. The success of this channel is all about you. The folks that come here and have the discussion and bring the ideas to the table. I've brought some ideas, other people have brought ideas, but we're going to figure this out, and we're not going to let this go, and we're not going to let them take this from us. We're not going to let them get away with this again. They got away with it because there wasn't YouTube in 9/11. They're not going to get away with it this time. Like, share, subscribe. Thank you very much.